I played around for a couple of days, but eventually I went in.
Pack some bags, right?
Yeah, hey, give me a couple of days to figure it out.
Well, Long Island, New York in March. Hello, Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah, and so, Jay, it works, I think, but because Aaron Rodgers is where he's at in his life, his career, things of that nature, he doesn't necessarily want to take time away from his retreats to do such a thing.
Yeah.
And now the NFL is a little bit different on the mandatory, voluntary type thing. And you don't really have coaches in the National Football League like a Coach Parcells or like a Bill Belichick nowadays. The coach is a little more relaxed in terms of making guys without making them do it. It's just a certain look and a stare. You know, every now and then, as I've always told you, Max, somebody has to go. And whoever that somebody is going to get everybody else's attention.
That's why when Parcells said it'd be the worst mistake you ever made, you knew he wasn't playing games.
But yeah. But can I just follow up on that? But like Key, like that's where I think context is everything. Like I totally get that new era and give players a lot more freedom, and I totally get that. But context is everything. If you're there with Devontae Adams and you've had thousands and thousands of reps, that's okay. But you have two rookies that you're counting on in Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. Like this is not the year to take time off.
Well, even if he didn't want to be in Green Bay, and I love Green Bay. Green Bay's a great place, and there's no, it's no funner place to play in Green Bay. But if you don't want to be in there in the offseason, you can do like Drew Brees did with my nephew, Michael Thomas, when he was a puppy in the league. He took him to San Diego, and they would throw in San Diego in the offseason because Drew didn't want to be in New Orleans. He wanted to be in San Diego. So if Aaron didn't want to be in Green Bay, he certainly could take those kids on the retreat with him, and throw after he does whatever he's doing, and
I get it though, Mike. I see the look in your eyes. You want him actually to be the leader that he's paid to be, and that comes with more responsibility. So let's talk about another leader who's actually doing his thing right now, Cooper Rush. You're the Cowboys going into that game against the Rams. Are you staying with Cooper Rush in the hot hand? Because a part of me, I would, just to see how it looks in the first quarter or so. Or do you go automatically back to Dak if he's ready to go?
Yeah, I think you go back to Dak when he's ready to go, but Cooper Rush gave us the answers to the test the other day when he said, hey, after the game, like, the reason we're winning is because of this defense, not because of me. The most impressive thing he's done is in 102 pass attempts, he has no interceptions. So he's doing what they're asking him to do. But, look, Dak Prescott is the most important part of that franchise for the next 10 years. And I think, Jay Will, what Cooper Rush has done is just sort of, like, reduce the sense of urgency, which is, like, we're holding serve. When our star quarterback comes back, we have a chance to do better. They're not scoring a lot of points, but right now that's okay.
And what did Mike just say right there, Jay and Max? About
hold and serve, yeah.
No, he said 0 interceptions. And what do I always talk about with these quarterbacks? If you don't turn the football over, you're going to probably win the football game.
But, Key, this is the point. Let's say Cooper Rush was already the starting quarterback. This is like Jimmy G with Trey Lance. You see a guy who does all the things you talk about, Key, quick decisions, gets rid of the ball, makes a nice play here and there, steady Eddie, doesn't turn the ball over, all those things, makes deep playoff runs in Jimmy G. Oh, we need a little more. Let's go out and use all our draft capital. We'll get Trey Lance.
But
Come on, man.
Cooper Rush hasn't made deep playoff
Well,
runs.
I know he hasn't, but
happens,
so far he's playing that brand of football.
What happens, though, Max, see the guy sitting next to you that's been in the cockpit of many years as a personnel guy and a front office guy and hired and fired coaches?
Sure.
They tend to listen to the outside noise sometimes, and it screws up their mind about what they should be doing at a certain position. Kyle Shanahan and Johnny Lynch have great football minds, but when they start hearing, oh, man, Jimmy G doesn't give you, rather than looking at it and saying, we just went to the damn Super Bowl with Jimmy G, and we went to the playoffs with Jimmy G, and we went back to an NFC Championship game with Jimmy G. What are we doing? How about calling a different play at some point in the game and giving him the best chance to win rather than, oh, my God, we can't get over the hump with Jimmy G. It's like you just got over the hump. There's only 2 teams that go to the Super Bowl, and there's only 4 that play in championship games. What are you talking about? Right. But the outside noise sometimes influences guys like Mike Tannenbaum.
But see, Mike, it's easy for me when it comes to Dallas because I always follow the money. And Dak Prescott is paid to be that guy. So it's easy. I get it. But still, like, there's that thought that Max and I have about Cooper Rush because there is something about simplifying the game. I wonder if Dak can learn from the simplification of the game that Cooper Rush has been inserted.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And I think one of the things that you hear great coaches talk about that, like from a quarterback perspective, every drive should end in a kick. Hopefully it's an extra point. Maybe it's a field goal, but at least it's a punt. And when you have a defense, Dallas is number 1 in the NFL in sack differential. And, that says a lot. That means they're getting after the opponent quarterback. And for an offensive line, we all had questions about. They're actually playing pretty well there.
Mike, can the Cowboys, like when you are on this role as a general manager and you go and you sit down on, I guess it would be Tuesday, you probably sit down with the staff or the head coach or whatever and have a conversation about what the past game was and what the future game is going to be. Can you have a conversation with Mike McCarthy and his staff and say, look, Dak is coming back, but what we need to do is use the same philosophy and game plan that we're doing with Cooper, whatever it is, whatever 30 plays in 6 different formations they're using, we need to do that with Dak Prescott rather than try and make him the star.
Yeah,
can you do that?
Absolutely. Let me tell you guys a story. So Rex Ryan, when we were at the Jets, we had Mark Sanchez with a really good defense, and he said to Mark, this is how we're going to play offense. When we have the lead, you're in red, meaning you cannot throw the ball unless you're 1,000% sure it's completed. Don't come to the sideline if we're in red and you throw an interception. Just go to the locker room. Yellow, proceed with caution. Make sure that you're making responsible decisions. And if we're behind 2 scores in the fourth quarter, we're in green. Let it rip. And that actually really helped Mark Sanchez process and develop because, like, in this situation, Dak has to think a little bit about it. Like, I have Lawrence Taylor right now. I have a dominant defense and maybe the best defensive player in a long time outside of Aaron Donald and Micah Parsons. So I can't screw it up. And hopefully Dak has learned, over the last couple of weeks that a check down's great, a punt's great, because this version of our team is really good on the other side of the ball.
But as an offensive play caller, though, can't you call plays so he doesn't even attempt those sort of things? Can't you design stuff where we don't even have to worry about him putting, simplify it, as we like to call it, dummy it down. Put him on some sprint stuff. Put him on some of that, easy 218. Get a hitch, a corner out. If the guy falls off, throw it to the hitch. Just simple stuff that still moves the chain.
But Key, how much of that is an insult for Dak Prescott because he's sitting there looking at his ability,
Nobody cares about an insult. We're trying to win a championship.
I know nobody cares, but Dak may care.
Well, then that's it. But he's the wrong guy at the quarterback position then.
And Key, I think to your point, though, I think that goes back to the head coach, Coach McCarthy, like you said, just throw it out, like attack off coverage. A lot of behind the line of scrimmage, jet sweeps, reverses, screens, all those things. And if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm sitting down with Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn and saying, how do we win this game? Hey, Washington has a bad offensive line. We're going to dominate up front. Okay, Kellen, you can't turn the ball over until we're in the fourth quarter, and if we're behind, we're not throwing the ball down the field. So, Key, I think those are sort of game plan strategy sessions, and I think you got to bring the quarterback into that so he understands what we're dealing with.
May I point out that we could go through all this tortured, mental gymnastics